and the stationary, man, it's just brutal. They stink at it. And so
I'll leave that. I just started recording.
If,
I'll leave that one off.
well, no, you can. They know. I tell them. I mean, not that bluntly, but if we start work, well, I tell them. I'm like, look, this is what the fast kids are doing. So it's either you need to do it or you're going to lose to them. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
And if you're pretty good, you can get away with it against the bad teams. But if you want to beat the good kids, you're not going to. Using the strategy you're using is not going to work.
Yeah.
But putting that foot down and letting it feel and then kind of working backwards, I don't know. I'm sure we've done it before, Adarian. When I videoed it, I'm like, I'm sure Adarian has done something like this before. But
hey, you know, it's
we'll
funny,
do it at full speed tomorrow.
It's like I said, you know, we can't trust you, man, because like we don't know what you're gonna drop tomorrow. We have no idea what you're gonna drop tomorrow. Like we have. I mean, I remember last time you dropped the volleyball one on us, and then you dropped the weight with the lateral move on us. I'm thinking like, wait a minute, this dude, we don't know what he's gonna drop anymore. But when you drop up, it's gonna be free. That's why I said, just give him till Monday. He have something for us, and when he's dropping, he's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, early release. Yeah.
I can't. It's depressing now. I work all freaking day because we're actually open here, like coaching. So I get off at 4, and I'm like, oh, look at all this cool stuff everybody got to do. Damn it.
Hey, but you know, like I said, a lot of this is just, man, the number of hate people out there. It's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys are getting heat.
We're getting hammered over here.
Hammered. I mean, between
for what?
Oh man, look at I can show you some messages that people just don't lost their mind. You know.
Oh my gosh.
Just like I did the one with the chair, and somebody's like, why you trusting that flimsy chair? That's what that comment. The chair. You know, I mean, it's just things that people come out with and everything. And then I did the one with the breathing device. Why are you breathing so hard? I'm not breathing hard. I'm just breathing. You know what I mean? Like things that people have never seen before. So I'm breathing while lifting the weights. They're talking about why you breathing so hard. I'm breathing. That's the point. That's the whole point, is to breathe. And but it's amazing when people don't understand something, how much hate they come at you with.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but like I said, that's why I got blocked.
Any more of the go-to people getting after you?
They didn't ask me on somebody else's stuff, but I don't care about that. As long as they don't come on my stuff, they can do whatever they want to do on somebody else's.
Yeah. They're about all blocked for me. I don't know.
You know, so yeah. I mean, like I said, I never care what GOTA says, you know. I just care, you know, like, or anybody that comes onto my page and bring negativity, I just block you. I'm done with you.
Yeah.
If that's the best you can do, I have no time for you.
Yeah, it's okay if you want to have a discussion. It's another if you're just going to come around and just shit all over the other person.
Yeah, or trying to bring me or trying to bring us onto your page and have an argument.
Right.
No need, no time for that. That's just out of boredom.
There's a lot of that going on, definitely, because those guys, man, they'll just sit there and go something simple as that doesn't work. Really? Why are you going to post that on my page?
Right. And you got
care to elaborate? Yeah, with our slow motion video that we watch hours of.
That's exactly. So my answer to him is, okay, give me a demonstration of something that what you call that works better than what I'm doing. No answer. Crickets all day. So it's like, man, show me.
Yeah.
Was it
I'm
Chris?
not doing it right.
It was Chris Corfus that was telling us that, right? They like come after him in Cal, and they're like, "Oh, your stuff is shit."
I mean,
after him, they wanted Cal to support what they were doing.
Oh, really?
That's what he said. Yeah, they wanted him to support it, but they started showing up on some other Jump Science or some guy with a lot of followers. They got into a thing with him. It kind of became a professional argument about Michael Jordan, whatever. But
Daniel Bach or whatever. Is that Jump Science?
Yeah, maybe. It was a decent. It was a knees in, knees out, feet in. You know, pronation versus argument. But who has time for that?
It's the industry. You know, when the industry is so focused on injuries that are not happening. You know, I mean, you think about the number of things that people do something and don't get hurt. And then the industry will come out and say, man, that looks like they're going to get hurt on that. Man, somebody's going to get hurt on that. Why would we wish injury upon anybody, you know, based on a look? But yet nobody's got hurt. I mean, it's like when I first started talking about knees in, you know, I've been posting that forever. Every single NBA player does it. Every single college player does it. And nobody's hurt from doing this. But yet these guys, you shouldn't do that. They already do it. You don't have to teach it, but it's something that's done. So why are we talking people out of something that they do? It doesn't get them hurt.
Yeah. Because clearly, like, that's not the reason why they're getting hurt, right? So this, I was actually curious. Let's just kick it off with this. I was actually curious because I was talking to one of my buddies last night. You look at like some of these like super quick twitch guards, like Kyrie or any of these dudes that do have like injury issues. Is it just they can? They're doing the same things, but they can do them at such a level with such torque and such force that at some point it's just inevitable that that's going to happen for them?
Nope. No.
Okay, explain.
No. Well, I mean, you got to look at it this way. The body's pretty resilient at what it does. It's pretty resilient at what it does at a high level. Now, why somebody gets hurt, we have no idea. Like I said, the floor could have been wet that day. He could have banged his knee on the table yesterday and got a little inflammation going on. You know, he could have had a mosquito bite or a bee sting. We don't know what led up to this here. So it's not that their athletic ability or you know, they're compensating or whatever the case may be, or it's inevitable they can get hurt at some point in time. Shit happens. That's what we got to look at it. I mean, how many times have you flown? And I hope the plane don't crash. But at some point in time, the plane may go down. Shit happens. You know, same thing. I've been driving a car now for I don't know how long. You know, I'm 55, so give me that. You know, so let's call it 37 years. I've been driving a car for 37 years, no accident. Sooner or later, I'm going to get in an accident. It just shit happens, you know. Now, when I get in an accident, should they say because I was old? No, it just shit happens, you know.
So,
and I think that's what.
So think about like, let's take a step back. Then you wouldn't even agree with like the higher level someone's performance is, the risk for injury doesn't become greater.
Nope. I say
Really?
the lower it is. I say the lower, the greater the risk.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah,
I think some people might just be more injury prone. I mean,
Yeah.
you go back to Kyrie in college, just like some people got a black cloud that follows around them. More shit happens to some people. I mean, Kyrie's he was hurt at Duke. He only played like, 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Something like that with the foot.
Yeah.
He's had a shoulder. He's had a knee. I mean, you train kids, right, Dixon? I mean, there are some kids
Yeah,
just can't
definitely.
escape it. They got a foot one day. They got a hamstring the night. They got, you know, you do everything you can, and then they got a knee. Then, you know, sometimes it's not serious. Sometimes it is. But I would agree that some people are probably more injury prone. But why are they more injury
but it's
prone?
not necessarily because of any one thing or anything like
No.
that.
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know how you could answer that question unless you looked and they had a pathology or something. You know, who knows?
Yeah, and that's a good point too, Mike. Like maybe you guys wouldn't agree with this either, but like I do think like it seems pretty solid through like evidence-based stuff that once you do get an injury like that's pretty serious, the likelihood of re-injury seems to increase exponentially.
Well, that could be too because they never take time to heal fully.
True.
You know, I mean, you look at, you know, like guys that had Achilles problems, they come back too soon. Then they got a knee problem. Then they got some other problem. They just come back too soon. And even, you know, we don't know how long it actually takes the injury to heal up. We have no evidence that injury may actually take 2 years before it's properly healed. But we go back to you can do normal activities now without no pain. Everything's okay. And it may not be okay yet. So I think a lot of this is just because of the money, people just come back too soon. And then also, too, we don't know what their movement pattern was before they got hurt. We don't study them enough. And that's one thing, like, I wish we would do this like concussions, where now at least they say, okay, before you had a concussion, we know what your brain activity looks like. So then at least we have an idea where to start from. If you get hurt, we have no idea what your gait looked like before you got hurt. So we have no idea what to go back to. We just say, you're pain-free, move on. And I think that's a lot of it, too, that may cause some of these injuries to pop up again is because nobody went back to the base of what they were doing before, you know, and we just turn them loose again. I mean, look at knee rehab. You know, you get ACL, reconstructive knee surgery. What's the deciding factor when you go back to playing at full speed? Pain-free.
Yeah, I mean, I think the return to play strategy from what I see amongst youth is pretty poor. And then look at the amount of mileage they're putting on at club and AAU and all those things we talk about. So maybe a lot of the problems start there, which that's not really a new discussion. But
So
it should be considered in basketball.
Go ahead, Jermaine.
No, what I was going to say was what I noticed with training all these, especially the younger kids, I mean, it's like if they do have an injury, it's, you know, when they come into you, a previous injury, they would get rehab, but their insurance would only allow so many rehab sessions. So
Right.
when they're done with the rehab sessions, that's it. And it's like, okay, you're on your own. So now when they come to us, okay, they're not completely rehabbed. So now we have to take it a couple steps back and try to figure out what's going on before we can actually bring them up to, just becoming full speed. So if we don't take those precautions, it's like, oh man, we're looking at a relapse again. But that whole return to play, like he said, that whole return to play recall is just it's rough.
Flawed. Like, you could play. Like, I mean, live action, if 5-on-5. Like, I mean, there should be skills on this. And I know some people do it, but I've seen some kids be like, yeah, I'm clear. I'm like, just a week ago you couldn't do anything.
You were not clear.
What do you mean clear?
Definitely.
Like, there's got to be some. You skipped all the gray area, and now you're in. So those are the things that I don't understand. That's why communication is vital between trainer and
Absolutely.
physical therapist, which is why I like to have one of my own.
And even look at it this way too. We talk about the odds of getting hurt or anything like that. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at tackle football. Nobody tries to prevent anybody from getting hurt playing tackle football, because guess what? If you get hit enough, guess what? Something's going to break at some point in time. I mean, at some point in time, you're going to sprain ankle. You're going to pull a hamstring. You're going to da-da-da. Something's going to happen. You're leaping in the air, all this other kind of stuff. Nobody doesn't do anything for those guys, but all of a sudden, everything else, let's make sure you don't get hurt. I mean, best, still one of the best things I ever saw. One of the most craziest thing was Earl Campbell running over that one, was it the Ram player?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that post? Yeah.
Where Earl Campbell just trucked this dude.
Him.
How many hits can that dude take before he gets hurt? But nobody's telling him, hey, man, next time you see Earl Campbell, move out of the way.
Yeah, definitely.
So nobody told this dude I mean, nobody told Barr and Bosworth, hey, man, next time you see Bo Jackson, move out of the way.
Yeah. No, sorry, I'm fixated on this, and I apologize if it's not something you're interested in, Adarian. But what about load? So we're talking about load there, like repetitive use of load of certain joints and everything. Is that a factor for you?
Nope.
No.
I mean joints. I mean, if you treat levers properly, everything goes fine. But like I said, you ask people about levers, they act like they lost their mind.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many people told me I don't talk science, but I'm talking levers. If you load the lever properly, everything takes care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Just like today, I seen somebody doing small bunny hops, and they were talking about reactive. Only one problem: you working if you're going perpendicular, you're not using your levers anymore. So see what I'm saying? He's talking about elasticity going perpendicular. Well, that's not elasticity anymore, because what are you doing? You actually are physically pop. You're not using elasticity. So think about that. You're about to do 500-600 contacts of improper loading of a lever, but you expect that loading to help you out. And so now all of a sudden, when the lever is loaded, watch out, But that's what we're talking about, is just these things we do to maybe worse than not doing anything, Yeah. So I mean, that's like I did exercise today. And we've been talking about this, Mike and Jermaine. We've been talking about this. When you do the stuff we're doing right, you're not doing 500 in anything. You might get to 10. You might get to 10 before you go in the house and take a nap.
Yeah,
definitely.
But it's a different. And then we talk about the least amount of effort. So we talk about putting the least amount of effort into loading, and yet in 10 of these, I gotta go home and take a nap. Versus somebody else is gonna say, I'm gonna take 500 contacts today. Whatever.
Yeah.
And why would you want to take 500 contacts? Holy, I mean, that's like I remember when I first got into plyos, and everybody's talking about, don't do no more than 25 contacts. That's not many. By the time you bound a field, a football field, that was your 25 contacts. You were done.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I think that, like I said, a lot of just not understanding levers, not understanding levers and joints and things like that. Just like the whole inside edge thing, people don't understand that. They get it all twisted. They think that but what is it doing? Inside edge allows you to load joints properly and effectively, And so a lot of people try to do what? They're trying to load the big toe. Well, you're trying to load a joint that doesn't like to be loaded like that. So if you're loading this joint here that doesn't be loaded up the system, joints start collapsing and weakening. But if you load the foot right, then them joints hold up and you move on about your business. So I think that, and then what do we do? Let's get stronger. So now I'm trying to squat 500 pounds to load this that didn't need it in the first place.
You didn't need that load anyway if you do everything correctly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so this is like my big question here, and I know it's not linear speed, but this is one like we can go around the room and like I'd honestly like to say nothing, and you guys could just have at it amongst yourselves because I think you're gonna have more information on it than me. But I know Jake Turris talked about this a lot. I think Adarian,
I don't know anything about Goda.
It ain't Goda. Throw a little shade. I love it. But yeah, so like this idea of landing mechanics, right?
I'm gonna get a beer. I'm gonna let Mike handle this one.
Okay. So I'm just gonna take you through what I'm seeing when I watch this happening, and then see what you guys think. A lot of people are saying like, oh, we need these landing mechanics for like stability of the knee. So let's say we have someone like hopping from one leg to another, right? And we're making them stick each hop, right? If we see the knee shake, we perceive that to be instability, or not we, but I think most people would say that's instability. So we're working on stabilizing the knee. For me, if I'm watching that, I'm saying, okay, yeah, the knee's seeking stability, but we're not going to stabilize it by not moving, because in sport, when does that happen? We're going to precede that landing with another movement, right? So maybe along the lines of Adarian, of what you talked about before, like extending the collision, or providing something that prolongs the falling action of what's going on. Am I kind of along the right path there as to like why that might not be the most useful thing to do to quote unquote provide stability by not having movement proceed from it or some subsequent action happening?
Like I said, I'm gonna let Mike handle this.
All right,
yeah,
Mike.
I mean, I think you answered your own question. I mean, when you watch a lot of that, the body wants to move. So you watch people do those lateral, some people call them hidings or skater bounds, and they can't stick them. Well, I mean, maybe the body doesn't want it. It's telling you something.
The other part too is, what's the first thing people holler? Ground reaction force. So why do you think you're trying to hop again? Because you hit the ground, now you're trying to bounce again.
It's giving you
That's
something.
a great point. The ground's trying to get you. Yeah.
Right.
It's giving you something.
So that's what's funny to me. All this stuff goes on. You have all these conflicting viewpoints, but nobody never calls it out. That it's hard to stick a landing, when the ground is trying to bounce you again. And that's one of the things why we say squat down again, because that helps counter what the ground's trying to do. Why do you think people stand up? It's easy to stand up. Why? Because the ground's pushing you up. So it's giving you a boost up. It's easy to stand up. So we back to the whole loading thing. So how do I want to load? Let me squat back down again if I want to control that. But to just stick it and stop, you get bounced no matter what you do.
Well, especially a single leg landing, which are typically what you're trying to do on one leg. You're trying to run and locomote.
Right.
Now I can't, honestly, I've never seen an athlete that can't stick a 2-leg landing on their first day, even 10, 11, like, okay, you can do it. Like, why? There's no reason to keep doing it. Now, again, every now and then I'll drop a kid off a box. I'll put it on my volleyball girls programs. Every now and then I'll get up on a box, land however you want, but mix it up. Bounce one, stick one, fall on one, roll one, whatever. Turn in the air, give them some freedom to do it. But other than that, we're not really practicing that.
No. But yeah, and even, like I said, I always revert back to triple jump, And if you really think you stick a landing, try triple jump and stick a landing. Go for it.
Well, there's a reason it finishes in the sand, right?
Yeah.
Go for it, I mean, look how hard a gymnast has sticking a landing. And that's their job. They get points for sticking a landing. And what do they got to do? They take a bounce. They can bounce in the same place 4 times, but they can't take a step forward. And what do you see them sometimes do? They take another bounce back where they are, and you see them squat really low, and then you see them stand up slowly. So they better not over rotate. If you over rotate, what are you gonna do? You're gonna step forward. So you're talking about a sport where it's practice to stick a landing, because they don't want to move again. Versus sports where we want you to move again. We want you to stick a landing. To me, that's backwards. Now if you are in gymnastics, once again, ice skating, once again, if you're in sports that require you to come to a stop after a movement, stick a landing. Everybody else, keep it moving.
Yeah, and I think it even plays into like change of direction stuff. Like this is the other thing I've seen a lot of going on right now is like we're gonna work on deceleration today. So we're gonna do like a shuffle, or we're gonna run forward, and then all of a sudden we're just gonna like put the brakes on and like end in this lunge position. I'm like, this is it's kind of what you talked about a couple weeks ago, Adarian, where it was the front side back. Like, don't ever train like something just front side and eliminate the backside. Like, let's include the full cycle of actions that are happening with that, right? And I see like deceleration, it's like we're taking out the reacceleration piece that's going to happen on any of these things.
So, well, I mean, like a lot of this stuff to me, I always go, where did this stuff come from? I go, where did this come from? You know, where did it come from that in order to accelerate, you have to be able to decelerate? I mean, that's the theory.
Yeah, it's like you can't produce what you can't absorb. That one never. I mean, I get it, but it's never registered.
Right. So it never registered me either. So, but now, that's the whole thing about it is this here. When I'm trying to run, you know, what braking forces am I overcoming that's stopping from accelerating? The only thing that's stopping me is gravity. So what's gravity load? 9 point, like I said, we all got 9.8. So my first issue is dealing with this 9.8. You know, now once I decide I want to stop, you know, how does that happen? Well, stop doing what you're doing. You know, I mean, that's like in basketball. How do they do the step back? Well, if you really watch it, the step before they stop doesn't propel them forward. So they have no energy going, and then they turn the foot. So it's easy to come back on that. Now, if you try to do a step back and push off the leg before it, you're never going to stop. You know, so that becomes the thing is that you know, you have to understand that where did this stuff come from in the first place? You know, and like I said, I mean, Jermaine posted a great video this morning. Ain't nobody slowing down to make cuts. I mean, they cut, and then they take off again.
Yeah,
Yep.
just redirecting redirecting the speed, and then we just fall to reaccelerate. So it never slows down.
So yeah, I mean, I'm working with an 8-year-old right now, and you know how we teach him to stop? Squat down. The lower your butt goes, the faster you can stop and turn around. But we don't tell him to stop his feet, do all that kind of stuff. We say, hey man, because what's the easiest way to control anything? Center of gravity, lower it. If you want to control your center of gravity, lower it. But what do we have a habit of doing? We have a habit of either raising or keeping it at the same height. And now your center of gravity is what? It's someplace in front of you. Because like you said, you got to remember, you put brakes on, it's going out there. So if you want to do it, lower it, and I can control it. But once again, we're talking about redirecting stuff.
That's a great point, because the video I posted earlier, one kid, soon as he made the hardest, when he planted the foot the hardest, I noticed he squat down to be able to deal with it. And when he squat down, he was able to fall. And I mean, he accelerated. It just went so smooth. And that was, I noticed it during the drill. And I was like, wow. And I went back, watched the video. I was like, wow, he really had to squat down on it to handle it. Right. So yeah, that whole getting low thing, it applies to everything. So many different things.
Right. And I think even with Mike, what's that drill you did? What's the T-step you called it for cornerbacks? What's that, rewire?
T-plant.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what one method that, you know, defensive back, the kids are coached, either T-step or T-stop or foot fire is, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I was working for the NFL combines, the scouts, they kind of, some like one, some like the other, depends on what kind. Now a lot of them shuffle and they don't backpedal. So that's kind of one of those things a kid just tells me what they do. But, you know, when I stopped doing, I think Jack, I told you the same thing. I stopped pretty much stopped deceleration training when I realized my slow kids were doing it just as good as my fast kids. I'm like, this is a waste of time. And my slow kids, how hard is it to slow down if you're already slow? Like, what are we even wasting time with this for? You don't even fucking run fast enough for it to matter. You know, so why are we doing this? And that was it. I said, that's it. We're done. We're done with it. You know, for the most part. I don't like to speak in absolutes. So you might say, you know.
For sure.
That's how it went.
I just watched that stuff and I'm like, something's supposed to be happening after this. Why are we cutting this short? Like, you know.
Posing for a picture.
Yeah. No, that's like I've been in the front yard, you know, and like I said, I got very little room for them in the street. If I don't squat down, I'm in the street. The only way I can stop is to drop my butt as low as possible to try and kill it, you know? And like I said, I get too, boo-boo, you can see me. You see me this way and you see me low. just to try and stop that from going into the street. Other than that, I got to jump over the bush, be in the street. Oh, my God.
Well, you did that thing. You had that one post.
He was in there.
You ran around the car. That was yours. That was before probably before these guys knew you. I was like, oh, that was like a Barry Sanders cut.
I need to repost those.
I need to see that
front
one.
yard runs are back. Yeah, that's the old one, man.
Oh man, I would do a start, a 4-point stand start. The car's parked maybe 10 feet from me. So I would do, a regular 4-point stand start towards the car. You got to avoid the car. Ain't no brakes,
awesome.
baby. Ain't no brakes.
Awesome.
You better.
we got videos of Adarian jumping over his Ducati.
Hey, ain't no jumping either. Car was too high, man. but like once again, it's redirecting. Redirecting is a much better word than braking and everything like that, And if you watch some of the best players, they never slow down. They never slow down. Barry Sanders never slowed down. Eric Dixon never slowed down. These guys, they don't, once they get going, they go, So where all this is coming from about slowing down, deceleration, and the thing about it is decelerate to go faster. Huh? I mean, think about this. Think about this. We saw Usain Bolt. How long did it take him to stop when he ran at 9.58? Dude took 2 more laps. You ain't got enough braking power to stop if you're going that fast.
Unless you want to hurt real bad.
Unless you want to hurt real bad, So yeah. I mean, that's like, if you ever drive a big vehicle and you crest a hill, the rule of thumb is this here. If you crest the hill at 45 miles an hour, then you're going to be okay because you have enough braking power to hold 45 miles an hour. If you crest that hill at 80 miles an hour, once you go over the top of the hill, you don't have braking power. So it's always those type of things where stopping is a forethought. You can always have more speed than braking power. You can always have that. So to reverse that and say that you need more braking power to get more speed, that's like, okay, But once again, like I said, I don't worry about yellow lights. I don't worry about green and
red. Green and red. Slam the brakes. That's what I say. I want you to, unlike you're told not to drive. But I will say, I mean, I have some kids that do have a hard time putting on the brakes for whatever reasons, feet, or they don't load, or they're just simply not squat. They're not doing what he just said, not getting their butt load enough. Now do we practice? So that's where you can, get into the moving pressures in the body. If you want, we're not going to get into that, but
right.
So there are some things we would do to enhance someone's ability to stop and go the other way. And I think dropping the ball drills and all that kind of stuff kind of tricks kids into doing it. But just practicing chopping the feet and stomping in a cone, that's just not the answer.
That's not it.
Yeah. There's a ton of that going around right now.
Right.
Well, it's been going around for a long
time.
It goes on at the combine. That's the 10-5. I mean, that's the drill. I mean, they love it. So
how many people do ladder drills thinking they're professionals? If I just do ladder drill again, I'm gonna make the pros. No, you're not, dude. No, you're not. So and then like I said, when you point out things to people like Antonio Brown, when he makes his cut, he doesn't slow down. If you watch how he makes his cut, he's already turning the leg in the air. So when that leg plants on the ground, it's gonna whip him around. I mean, if you watch Deion Sanders, you watch him do his drills and stuff, like them dudes don't slow down. So where does all this come from? Who knows? But it's very popular right now and everything. But like I said, I would like to see not a study. I would like to see a training program where you take a guy, increase his ability to break, and then watch his 40-time drop. I would like to see the training program.
I think you did hit it on the head.
No weightlifting, no net. The only training program is you working on stopping to go fast. Who knows? Could be a point. Could be one guy out there that
don't tempt me with a good time. I got plenty of time to kill these days.
Find a good guinea pig. Yeah, find a real decently fast guy and do that. See what happens. But I think Adarian made a good point about steering the feet. He's talking about the Antonio Brown. Steering the feet is something that's incredibly important in that I think, as opposed to just worrying about size. If you're going to do those shuttles or do whatever, the ability or curve runs or whatever, if you don't know how to steer your feet in the air, then there's something to look at to enhance abilities to change direction or whatever.
So, yeah. Well, even today, one of the things too, I like I said, I worked with an 8-year-old today, and one of the things I taught him was how to modulate his pelvis to modulate his feet. And his parents were like, wait, just happened here. Because remember, we have many ways to do things. So you can chop your feet and not go any place. Or I can modulate my pelvis and also modulate my feet. Now I'm in much more control of what I'm doing. So I think that's some of it too right there, where just like we talked about, where the piston is. The piston is at the pelvis. That thing should be just doing whatever it's doing. And remember, this small movement at the pelvis can be amplified down the chain.
And you're talking about like the piston action, like as opposed to this knee drive or knee lift that we're always talking about. Let's lift with that pelvis. And I think I said that today. Like I felt that running in tall grass. I ran in some taller grass the other day, and like you could just like that proximal hamstring, like so up closer to the glute. Like you feel that thing working like in a different way when you're doing that, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's when I finished today, I was like, I thought at first like, man, my hamstrings, but then I'm like, they fine, But like I said, it becomes a different thing where if you're moving up here, it's amplified. So I can get more movement here. Even when they talk about, a lot of, like I said, a lot of things people say is really, really true. The only problem is the instructions for how to do it. For instance, do you want to punch the ground when you run? Sure you do. But where's the punch coming from? It's coming from the pelvis. It's not coming because you lift your foot up and stomp the ground hard. Same thing. If you throw, if you're throwing a punch, where's it coming from? It's coming from here. It's not coming because you leave this behind. That's not happening. So the same thing's happening. If I want to push more down harder, it's got to come from the pelvis. It can't come because you lifted your knee up high and then you try to extend. That it doesn't.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. Jermaine, you've been doing a lot, like with a bunch of kids, which I think is really cool. And I was curious, like, what your experiences are so far. Like, obviously, we're seeing it on social, and it looks really good and everything. But like, how are things going with like
you calling
teaching
Mike peanuts now? What are you saying?
Oh, Mike, that's not what I meant. You know this. Mike's gonna log off now. I apologize. Sorry.
Go offense taken.
Go Browns. Go Browns.
Well, for the group setting, the biggest thing I'm noticing is I'm just allowing them to do the drills. Just let them feel it. And that's where we're getting all the results. It's easy. I think if you think of a group setting and, you're putting so much into it, it's really not much instructions to get these kids to do it. So take, for instance, that knee walking drill. I make them put their hands on the hips. And back to what Adarian said, it's just feeling the pelvis and the hip, just the going over the top. Once they feel that, most of those kids have never felt that before. So as soon as they feel it, one rep, they go back and tell them to run. Then they go, oh, I feel it. It's all about feeling it. But also I'll allow the whole group to work at their own pace. Instead of we all just doing it at the same time, all these different instructions, just let them feel it. That's why I'm having the best results. We only do 2 or 3 reps, then I'm videoing. Sometimes I'll let them get some reps. I'm like, hey, we can't be looking crazy on the video. But, but it's like a lot of times really these kids are really picking this stuff up, extremely fast. And I'm blown away with it. And I'm like, okay, wait, we did 1 rep and then you executed. What's really going on? Because when I was, before I ran across the Adarian concepts and some of the things Mike doing, it was like, man, I was taking weeks to try to get a little bit of results. Now, I just shake my head. I was like, wait, this is just too easy. And, and that's what – it doesn't matter. I train a soccer organization, FC Dallas. Man, they gave me – the first time I started training with these kids, they gave me a group of 30. I'm like, oh, how am I going to get these 30 kids to do this? Spread them out. Let them work on their own. I had coaches over there watching. They're waiting for instructions. Give them the instructions. Let the kids work through it. I started getting results with 30 kids. They all had their own way of getting to that speed. So I thought that was really interesting to see. The group, it doesn't matter that, and I'm wondering how could they take this type of training and implement it with a football team? just kind of let them, and I know it's structured. I've played football, I've coached football, high school football, and it's like everyone has this set routine. What's wrong with just kind of letting them go through? They know what to do. Let them go through it in their own zone. I think that'll be a great way to kind of get those kids really mentally ready, and to adapt to what they're doing, So, but far as the group training, man, I've been enjoying it, I think the bigger the group, the better for me. It's easy.
Yeah. And then even when you watch Mike and his group, and what they do and stuff like that, where before the COVID-19 thing hit, if you watch the groups and everything, same thing. Every kid was discovering themselves, and that's the beauty of it. Is the kid gets to discover himself. And it's always, once again, it's always funny to me is these words we use about self-organization, but then we don't allow the kid to self-organize, And I always say as coaches, we talk too much, and that's like Rewire. At Rewire, ain't no talking. Tell them what you want to do, watch them do it, and move on. But there is no constantly dot.
Mike, I suppose I'm curious what you do with your group too.
Well, you know what? One, I stumbled upon. We used to have 10 to 12 kids, and now with the whole COVID, I started going 4 every half hour, and I'm never going back because I can get kids more. We used to do 1.5-hour sessions. Now I've got them because I realized my dad don't need to be here for an hour and a half. So I got them doing 4 every half hour. I'm training the same amount of kids. They're staying less. I'm giving them more individual attention. Case by case basis, man. I mean, there's some kids I can't. If I let them self-organize, they're gonna go to sleep on the turf.
It's like the kid picking his nose, eating popcorn in the outfield.
Right. But, and then there's some that I know are gamers, and they don't really want to be coached. I tell them what to do. That's the whole art of coaching. Is some of them trying to trick them into it. Some kid, I give it them instruction. He's like, hell yeah, he does it. Some kids, I give it to him like, this kid's not getting it. He's not feeling. I just kind of stay away from him today and tell my trainer, well, hey, just make sure his kid, he don't get hurt in the weight room or what, it's just, I got kids like that too. And if you're in the private sector, that's the reality. We need people paying us, so they got to have a good time, but they got to get better. And, for some kids, it's almost saying nothing to them. And for some kids, it's, saying something to them after every rep, and personally, I got to do a better job at not trying to coach every kid on every rep like Jermaine's doing. That's sometimes I get too ramped up and even like try to get all excited when they run good and then they stop and so I'm like, no, it was good. Like, keep going. Like, don't stop. They're all like,
I ruined it.
You yelled at me. I'm like, I must be saying too much to this kid. And then go grab a coffee. So I was like, no. I get excited. Keep going. They're like, no. But that's the thing. Adarian, we won't say who, but you had sent me a post of a guy, and it was just so much. Go over there. Right here. Okay. Stay low. Chop your feet. Blah, blah, blah. Energy. This, that. Like, the kid got come back like, Coach, I don't know what you want me to do, man. So that's the thing is, Darian, it's strategies and instructions. Strategies and instructions. And of course, you can call them drills or exercise or whatever. On my end, we focus on one concept a day or week. So linear, we might be, and we're timing and doing some chain resisted runs and stuff right now. But, and tomorrow we're going to do the single-sided bucket runs where one side's freed up and we're working ipsilateral, and that's the warm-up, and we'll do some timed chain runs, and that's it. And then laterally right now, we're kind of last week jumped over the hurdles and landed and went. And I don't know. I'll think of it before Wednesday because that's when we'll start that.
That's the beauty of it too is, it goes against the whole periodization stuff, where you don't have this, and I never liked periodization because to me, if you're in better shape today, but I'm training you tomorrow like you're still in worse shape, so why give me something to focus on. Tomorrow we're gonna focus on something different. Tomorrow's something different, and as we do this, we will keep advancing things. But to have this plan laid out, and like I said, I already know what I want you to do. I want you to get faster, get stronger. That's not hard to figure out in a plan. for however long it is, but we into this general prep, competition prep, and then you watch people come to practice and they're not in shape yet. But what's all this other stuff for? You still not in shape, So for me, I got out of the conditioning realm a long time ago. And so I just got into the whole thing of, I want you to do this. I want you to get a lot of reps in. You get a lot of reps in, you will get in shape to do it. Because if you're not in shape to do whatever I want you to do, it don't matter.
Yeah.
If you're in shape to run, but you're not in shape to jump, it don't matter. You're not in shape to do what you need to do and stuff like that. So that's where I switched up from. And same thing. It's not like, I already, based on today, I will come up with tomorrow. But I have to base it on today. I can't have tomorrow worked out without knowing what's the result of today. So and a lot of people will look at this and think like, well, they're not very, organized. Yes, it is very organized. I mean, especially if you look at, what Mike just said, this is what we're going to do today. We got this tomorrow. He already laid out the plan for you. And so, but it's based on a theme or a focus or a strategy. It's not just based on, I want you to be stronger in the next 8 weeks.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I used to be way more organized than I am now in terms of like that perception of organization. And then I know I'm working with one kid on the side now, apart from my regular gig, and it's all virtual, but we've worked together for like 2 years now. So like you met him, Adarian, Josiah at the clinic up in Tacoma. Yeah. And I mean, like he just knows the concepts now. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna work on calf to hamstring today. Let's do these 2 drills and then we'll run. And then we're at that point now where it's easy enough to do that because he understands what I want him to do. He's cleaned up a lot of things already, so it's pretty straightforward. And now we're at the point where we can just hammer out, however many reps I want him to hammer out at 10, 20, 30 yards or whatever it is, Totally.
And I think that's what we keep talking about too is, the better you understand whatever you're trying to do, the easier it is to come up with a new exercise. Like I said, it really bothered me that, I started doing A skips in 3rd grade. And here I am in college still doing the same little A skip. Really? This drill hasn't changed in 20 years? Holy cow. That's what we're looking at. I mean, think about that. Like I said, you see a guy that can run 900 meters still doing A skips? For what? You're not, if that's a coordination drill, and you're not doing it that, you're doing that where he's doing that. So you're trying to tell me, wow, really? So those things like that, they just bother me. And so that's why I got away from it. It was like, nah, I'm going to watch you today. And based on what happens today, I will come up with something you tomorrow to do that will help you move ahead.
Well, yeah, and on my end, and I would imagine, Jermaine, maybe on yours, we've talked about training football kids. I got to have strategies for these kids that come to me that ran 9/400s, and that's probably an extreme example, but 15 gassers, maybe the morning right before they come to me in the afternoon, or they lifted and they did 8 sets of squats. So if you use the rewire stuff and the arches and the squatted and remove, replace, there's a lot of exercises you can do that aren't going to beat them up. You could even argue that they recharge them. You're still going to get some sort of training effect and result. But again, they can go home to mom and dad and be like, yeah, I can still go to SOAR 2 days a week.
Right.
On top of all my football training at school. And I'm getting better because we're just giving them stuff that the school programs can't give them, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. No,
Definitely on that point, though, for sure, because those kids, especially with summer workouts with football, by the time those kids go home, they're exhausted. And if we try to implement a training program, it's like, man, it's like you gotta regress. Okay. Let's work on the more critical things. Let's work on, activating the arch. Let's work on getting the pelvis to work. And believe it or not, those drills still take a lot out of you, but it's not the same. It's different. And like you say, it kind of rejuvenates them.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It hits them differently. And actually a lot of kids say, hey, coach, those drills we did, actually I felt better the next day when we went back to practice. So yeah, that's a win right there. If we can, take those same football kids after they've been, really pushed to the limits, they're exhausted, they're sore, from all the lifting and running and stuff they're doing, and kind of flip it and give them something different, and then those kids look forward to that because they feel the difference. They actually leave out of the session feeling, okay, man, I feel pretty good. coming out of this session rather than crawling out of there, So that's just a win.
Amazing what you can do when you're teaching someone something or they're learning how to get better at something, as opposed to just mindlessly doing whatever it is football coaches are doing all summer.
Right. Quality reps. They said the
Quality
reps.
Right. Well, I think too, one of the things that goes on is why we do what we do in the first place, and then we look at it, then it has no transferability to where we wanted to do in the next place, and so just like, who was a rugby strength coach, he's been posting stuff, I've been cracking up, because I'm telling him, like, who made you mad, dude? Because you're pissing somebody's cornflakes right now, where he's showing the video of the dog doing agility. And he's like,
I mean, right.
I'm watching that video. I'm like, but he's calling these folks out, and somebody needs to call these folks out, because some of the stuff you're doing, you go, I don't even know how we got here in the first place, And then, like I said, I'll post a drill, and everybody wants to eat me up for it. It's like, wait a minute, this drill here is not transfer. This drill, I mean, somebody hit Jermaine up today saying, please explain the importance of shin angle drop. What?
Well, there's no helping you, man.
I mean, that was the question.
Oh my God!
And so I'm cracking up, and it's like, wait. And, but what do people say? I want a good shin angle, and nobody in there tells them what a good shin angle is. So and nobody's like, hey, and like I said, I can show you race after race after race. NF alignment, whoever, shin drop. Nobody's shin stays in the same place. And the better guys, when that thing drops, they're gone. So when somebody says, I don't know what that is, because you're not paying attention there. Because the angle didn't stay the same. It never stayed the same.
Well, I think that a lot of times I'm seeing more often when I'm perusing social media is there's this like obsession with projection. And like, if we project ourselves where we want to go, then that's going to influence like a better start, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like a lot of that is involving so much pushing and stuff that I think all four of us knows can be counterproductive. We're throwing timing off. The shin angle isn't dropping like it should. And then we're waiting too long after it does drop, all for the sake of projection.
Well, that's like, I think like the recent videos I posted, and I put cones out, and nobody's never seen me put cones out before. And so, I put the cones out because that's where I want my feet to touch down at, and I'm hitting them. But where's my hips at? Well past that cone, So it becomes that thing of where am I projecting and where my foot's landing. Them almost two different things right now, And so, but once again, if you understand levers, projection is easy. If you understand pelvis, projection is easy. If you don't, then you're at the mercy of whatever and that's why we see people going vertical.
Well, projection for them is muscles, I feel like. Just like be strong and muscle your way out and project, you know?
Right.
Well, they're copying a look. Like one of the Adarian, the look, not the function. You know? So.
Right.
But, like that's one of the main reasons I actually flew out to meet Adarian was, he always talked about sequence and timing. I'm like, well, that's something I've never really dove in. Like, what does that really mean? That like you see all these drills and we've all bought all these speed manuals and you never like shin drop. Okay, well, what do you do after your shin drops? When does the shin drop is only part of it. Right. What is the rest of the body doing in relation to that shin drop, and when is it done, and when do you get to the next one? That's the information per individual that I've really never heard anyone other than Adarian talk about. I'm sure there's nothing new under the sun. I'm sure, hey, there could be Eskimos or something somewhere doing that kind of stuff, right? But
you can't say that anymore, Mike.
Oh well. My apologies to any Eskimos that are listening.
But that becomes a thing.
In these times, I apologize.
If you look at like a Tariq Hill, and what's the commonality that he has that makes him fast? Man, the shin angles is dropping fast, and so there's not that it's a certain angle. We just know they dropping low, and they dropping fast. But somebody would say, hey, what's the ideal shin angle? I don't know. I have no idea what that ideal shin angle is.
Well, that's the thing. It's your range, right? I mean, that's the assessment, and that's where Rewire starts, is understanding those things.
Yeah,
that's
an interesting point, because I've been kind of digging into the research side like a little bit here and there, and it's like I'm so fascinated by the obsession with kinematics. Like this is the force you need, and this is. I'm like, how do you know these things? Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, you got. I mean, that's like a couple of weeks ago. Jermaine told me, I don't think your shins can get any lower. Watch this. I'm not done. It can't get when my knee touches the ground. That's when it's the lowest it can get. Now, am I gonna get any faster by it touching the ground? I don't know. But I know that it can't, that when it can get as low as it can is when that knee touches the ground, you know. But at the same time, with that shin so low, it's some other things that are happening because, like I said, feet can't come through anymore because there's no space. So how's the body going to work this out to keep me going forward without tripping? I remember one time I did it and I stumbled. I'm thinking like, and like I said, when I watched it, when I did it, I swear it was the other leg. I swear my left leg tripped me. I watched the video. I was like, oh, the right leg was the problem. You know, so then I go back and fix it. Sure enough, boom. You know, but that's like, can I share my screen? And like I can I?
Yeah, hold on. I'll get you.
I mean, this is the video I put up today. I didn't even put this video up yet. I haven't even put this video up yet.
All right, go ahead.
You know, Jermaine started dropping bombs this morning. It took me a while to get some fuel in my brain.
On a Sunday.
Dude, I got to make phone calls. Hey, can somebody go play today? Because this dude dropping bombs over here.
Hey, I dropped that one with the my knee on the foam roller. Oh my God, talk about shin drop. Man, I never felt that one before, so I was out of there.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I was cracking up when you did that. Thinking like, he's up early this morning. And you got to remember, he's on the East Coast. So I'm thinking like, this dude is up early. Because to me, it was like 9 o'clock. I'm thinking like, it's like 12 o'clock there already. So
I'm central. I'm central over here. I'm in the Panhandle, Florida. Yeah, I'm central.
Oh, I didn't even know that any part of Florida was central. That's wild.
Yeah, I had no idea either.
We stopped.
This is groundbreaking news.
You learn new things on the upper left. You learn new things on the upper left performance podcast every time you come on. You know, it's the way it is.
Hey, we got that Florida juice up here too, man. They call us Northern Alabama.
So I know. So I saw Jermaine drop the shin onto the PVC pipe or to the roller, right? So I said, okay, man, I got something for you. So I go get the bands. And I dropped down. Now you're talking about, man, watch that right shin angle. That thing is like, you can't. Like,
oh, Lord.
Like, yo. And so then all of a sudden it's time to get up out of here. Look at that right shin angle. Drop it. I kicked the PVC pipe. That's how low it was. But you know, but like I said, when I saw him do the drill, I'm thinking like, well, like I said, if you understand what's going on, it's easy to all of a sudden take that ISO drill, put it with this drill, boom, you got a brand new drill that advances everything you're trying to do. You know?
That's nice.
And so then I said, okay, and I wasn't done with this yet. And I told her, hey man, I'm not done yet. So then I said, watch this here. I'm not done yet. So then I put this together. I said, watch this one here. So now I'm just ISOing and wow, look at, that's all I'm doing now. I'm just ISOing and getting up. ISO it, hit it. Now I get ready for some pressure. ISO, get out of there.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what I'm thinking.
Look at that shin angle now. I mean, it's look at that thing. Boom, and it stays. Look at, that's what I'm talking about now.
Wow.
That was deep, man.
That was.
But like I said, I understand the concepts. So I understand what I'm trying to do, so I can take the drill now. Because Jermaine been talking about the ISO. I said, okay, don't worry. You keep talking about that ISO thing. I got something for that, you know. And so then you saw him put, you know, because when I saw him do that, and then I saw Mike do something, and I saw somebody, okay, I got something now, you know. So, but that becomes the thing about, you know, it's easy to, if you understand the concept, it's easy to find an advanced drill. Because we don't know how far we can drop. We don't know. So let's find out.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
and then how far can we drop before it becomes like detrimental or not?
We start hearing, we start seeing Adarian start talking about knee drags, then we know.
Oh no! Oh no!
Should you knee drag?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get a 5-part series on it. Yeah,
that's a whole new level of low knee recovery.
Put ISO on it.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, but that becomes the fun of this. You know, like I said, I don't have to have set drills anymore. I like I said, we got all these tools in the first place. The ISO is not that new. The PVC pipe is not new. The single leg squat is not new. Except what? Put them all together, boom, you got something now.
Yeah.
But and as Mike said, you know, but it's still staying with what? I still can't let go of the non-negotiables. I still got to work that transverse arch. I still got to work that inside edge. I still got to work that athletic posture. I still da-da-da. The non-negotiables are always there. And then we just, boom, we branch from there.
Yeah. It's Central Time where Jermaine is. It's still blowing my mind. Sorry, Adarian.
That's it.
I thought he was on the East Coast. I'm going to take some of that credit back because I thought he was on the East Coast. Just working it early. I'm like, so many videos. I'm like, that was a training session on how many training sessions this morning?
All right, so this is my last thing I wanted to hit. Mike, I think you actually shared a post with me, and you might have written it. It was so long ago now, I don't remember completely. It was like 2 or 3 months ago. Just talking about letting the foot come down in front of the center of mass in max velocity because we have more time than we think, and if we rush it and bring it underneath, we're not letting the full like gait cycle or supination to pronation of the foot play out.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Joel was talking about that on a recent podcast. I mean, that's obviously stuff I've learned from Adarian. That's why stepping down and all that kind of stuff is stuff we don't really do. But what I tell kids is you want to run your foot over with your body weight.
Yeah.
And if your foot is already behind your body weight, when it hits the ground, it's already done.
Right.
You know, so that feeling of continually trying to run your foot over with your body at the appropriate timing is something that just seems to make sense for kids. And, you know, in terms of what Adarian talks about with the lever system and squat and all that, it's just, if you strike directly underneath your center mass, that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Now, once again, we talk about a perpendicular movement. You can't load perpendicular. That's the whole thing. And then, you know, like I said, the one thing we always talk about is off the cliff. You know, I need time. You know, like I said, I don't want to be at the edge of the cliff and just fall off of it, and I don't want to be too back far from the cliff and have to, you know. So I'm trying to find that right spot that gives me time to adjust to going over the cliff.
Yeah, and that's like you said, max velocity, Jack. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I see from most of these kids in their starts is they do that. My volleyball players do it in their reactions. It's toes. They go vertical. Their body weight's already ahead, and there's no pressure at that point in time.
Yeah, and then there's really nowhere for them to go. So they're right up in the air by step 3. Yeah.
Shin goes backwards and up. There's no horizontal fall. There's, you know, they're just, you know, they're moving. And it can, I guess some kids can get away with it, but no, so we spend a ton of time. And again, really that the drill I did in my backyard today, I guess it kind of stems from that whole conversation of putting that front foot down, the one that I would be replacing with, putting it down, because a lot of kids in remove replace, what do? They stab that foot backwards in that piston-like action, which maybe you get a remove replace, but it's not that. Then what happens next? Right. Like he said, you got a perpendicular or the opposite, or, you know, even more severe.
Right. So yeah, but that's the other part too, is that, you know, when we talk about this whole movement thing, you know, and that's why I always tell people, coach the levers. You coach the levers, this gets super, super simple, you know. And so what am I trying to do is same thing. If you have a wrench, you know, where you start at, you start here and go this way. You don't start here and try to go down. It's going against you already. So it's the same principle, is that, you know, and how much closer the foot gets to me, cool. But underneath me now, guess what? It's a perpendicular movement. Now I'm going to have problems, you know? Yeah. So that's even like the conversation that with the biomechanics people that have all day long, you know? Where is the original force coming from? They talk about increase the force. you know. Well, how are you going to do that? And that's always the beer drinking question. I'm going to increase force application. I'm going to increase the force that I apply. And I'm going to do it in a short amount of time. So I'm going to increase force and reduce the amount of time, which is already backwards. Because you increase the force, you can't do a short amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, so we're already in that position there. So the next thing is how, and that's what they can't explain. But if you understand levers, you can understand how, because the force is based on the effort or the resistance that you encounter. So if I want to increase the force output or the effort, I got to increase the resistance that you're encountering. You know, and that's the whole purpose of being squatted in the first place. Resistance. Like I said, if you stand up, there's no resistance.
And I would imagine too, I mean, like we talked about this a bit, like even in Max V, there's an element where horizontal force application needs to happen. And you're kind of taking that away if we're upright and going straight down. We're not allowing that to play out, really.
So yeah.
Well, that was
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Adarian, remember the London study of the 100-meter dash?
Right.
The guys with the fastest ground contact time didn't win.
Right.
I think I'm quoting that right, because we looked at that.
Well, we had
for a while,
two things.
Adarian, right?
You had the guy, the fastest guy didn't win. So we're looking at two things. You know, always look at the reaction time. The fast reaction time loses the race every single time, no matter what you look at. The second thing was the guy that had the fastest 10-meter split didn't win either. So what else is going on here? You know, so you have to start looking at other things at that point in time. You know, but that's like a video I just posted. Well, I posted on the website, but not on Instagram because I didn't want to make somebody mad. You know, but it has two athletes who are trained by the same coach. They're doing the same thing or similar things. But when you put them together, you say, okay, well, why is this guy fast? Even though they're doing the same thing, they look about the same weight, same strength. I'm going to make that assumption. So why is this one guy faster than the other guy? And so when you start breaking it down, you start seeing this guy's using his levers better than this guy over here. That's why he's faster. End of story. You don't have to get into all the other stuff, but that's easy to get. This guy's using his levers better, more effectively than this guy over here. So we still back to that same thing. The better you coach the levers, the better off you're going to be. And that's part of top end mechanics. It's still about coaching levers.
Yeah, and I think too, like if you like ask someone who's maybe on the more research side of things, they wouldn't attribute it to levers, like why the guy with the fastest split wouldn't win. It would be a speed endurance issue for them. But I bet you if we go back and look at the tape, I bet you that might not be the case. It might be, like you said, you hit that vertical thing and there's nowhere else to go, and that's it, right?
Right.
Is that kind of accurate? Like in my thought process?
No, that's accurate. But like I said, the question is, why aren't they looking at levers in these studies?
Yeah.
You know, because we can map every single step as a lever. I mean, every single step you take, we can see what's going on as far as levers, and as far as Shingo is concerned, the rotation speed that's going on. You know, we can see all, and like I said, I mean, I showed plenty of races where the person that stands up and goes vertical will drop back to the person that's still working shin angles. Yeah. You know, and so, and even like a lot of times when I'm looking at races or whatever the case may be, you know, same thing. You know, looking at a race, I'm looking at why is this person losing? If we all 10-second 100-meter runners, and I jump out on you 2 feet and you catch me at the end, what did I do wrong? Because we have the same speed, you know. Or when I watch a receiver, Antonio Brown or something like that, or we watch the football players and we watching, why is this running back running away from this guy? Or why does this defensive lineman get there better than this other guy got? You know, a lot of times it's coming back to the same thing. Levers. How the person's using their levers.
Yeah. All right, boys. Any parting shots from anybody? We've been going at this a little while now, so.
Hey man, that was fun.
That was super fun. That was
didn't hear
super
my
fun.
son yelling at me upstairs, Jack. I don't know. My time about expired.
He's had enough of you in the basement.
But I don't know if you could hear him while he was screaming and yelling while I was trying to explain that thing. So hopefully it didn't come through. So.
You're good. It was a tiny bit, barely at all, to be honest with you. So.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Good
man.
deal. I was gonna go.
Go ahead.
I was gonna do what Jermaine is doing, getting in my car to make sure I took a piece, but it was thunderstorming outside. I'm like, oh, then Jack don't need raindrops hitting my car and all that. So.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. I figured this would just be a good old just sit back and chill and just talk about some fun stuff. So it definitely has been, at least for me. So
I enjoyed it.
Good deal.
Hey,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with y'all. I need to get on the spice train here and try to come up with a couple things this week. So,
hey, let's go.
There you go, man.
Let's go. Because, hey, like I said, by the time Mike goes to sleep tonight, wakes up tomorrow, It's gonna be a whole new day on
It's
this.
all over.
No, for me, it's going to be a repeat of what I did in the yard. So I don't know if I'll be redundant in post. So
We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Look for something midweek. We'll see. We'll see what I
Hey,
can
so
put out
that little
there.
jump one, Mike, that we cooked up together with the just a little jump, get the calf to the hamstring, have the pelvis kind of kick in on it.
The bunny hop.
Yeah, a little
the
bunny
shin
hop.
Angle,
So
we call it a shin angle bunny.
Yeah, shin angle bunny. Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm gonna hit a little of that, but get a split with a toe drag on the backside.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
what we're gonna
did
go
it
for.
today. I did that. I call it the shin drop hop.
The show, I like that.
Shin drop hop. There you
Sounds
go.
like
I
we're in the
that even
50s.
better. There you go.
What amazes the kids is I say, okay, if you just let that shin drop, hey, you don't have to push. The Achilles throw you right off. They go, wait, it just happened.
It's crazy. You don't have to push at all. It's wild.
Well, then once they get the drop, and that's what you tell them, they'll get the drop, and then you say, okay, now you got to do it faster. And that's what it is.
Exactly.
You evolve the drop. Great, you got your shin to drop. Now the faster people are doing it faster. So now how fast can you shin drop hop?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, the funny thing though, when they actually do it fast, it throws them so far out.
They want to run,
falling over.
Right.
They want to fall. I said, if they fall on their face, I'll cheer. I say it all the time. I'll be like, yeah, fall on your face.
Hey, then it's time to spin, baby. It's time to pull in that ISO drill and get it going.
There you go. There's your deceleration. Fall on your face.
Yes. You got some good nasal stability there on the ground.
There you
Perfect.
go. Yeah, it's one way to slow down.
All right.
Stuff, man.
All right, boys.
Guys. We'll
Appreciate you all.
All right, man.
Yep, have a good one.
See you guys. Bye.